And we're live. Welcome to a new episode of the Electrek Podcast. I'm Fred Lambert, your host, and I'm joined by Seth Wintraub. How are you doing, Seth?
I'm good.
All right. Thanks a lot to Electrify America for sponsoring this episode of Electrek Podcast. Halfway through the show, we're going to tell you a little bit more about them. But now let's dive right in. Massive week for news this week. Massive. We had the Model 3 refresh that overnight has become official. So we're going to start with that, but stay tuned because there's a ton of other stuff too. So last week we had our exclusive on the Model 3 refresh. So if you saw that episode, not that much news this week regarding that. It's just official. So we're just going to get through it. The biggest thing that we didn't know, but we couldn't confirm exactly what was the impact of it is the new efficiency package that comes in the Model 3 that increases the range of it by quite a bit. Now, the standard range plus went from 250 miles of range to 263 miles, and the performance version went from 299 to 315. But the longest range one is, of course, the long range dual motors, which got 30 more miles for 353 miles now. So you have this car that starts at less than $50,000, $47,000 really. That gets you over 350 miles of range.
It's crazy.
Based on the APA, of course.
Right.
So now that's the difference here, like the little caveats that maybe we need to specify. It's like we don't know exactly how Tesla is achieving this higher range. We know from sources that Tesla has this new thing called an efficiency package in the car that is increasing the range. How it does it, it's not clear. And we know Tesla likes to play with the EPA numbers sometimes when it benefits it. So we'll just, before we claim victory for Tesla here, we'll just maybe get the cars in the hands of customers, see what kind of range they're getting and everything. But it does look for sure that there's at least a decent bump in efficiency.
What about the standard range? They didn't publish anything on that?
That doesn't exist. What are you talking about?
You have to call them to get the range?
Yeah, it doesn't exist really. Like it's every time there's an update to the car, like that's always like, what's the new range on the standard regimen? Like, barely. You shouldn't really think about that. Tesla doesn't want you to think about it,
right? But
I would still like to know like how many people are ordering that though. Like
it must be a loss leader for them or something. They like, why wouldn't you publicize it?
Well, at that point, like it's supposed to start at $35,000. The standard range plus starts at $38,000. Like it's $3,000, and you probably get a lot more out of it. I mean, especially now at 263 miles of range, that's a decent range for that price. So I don't know, but yeah, everything else got confirmed. The Chrome Delete, obviously, a bunch of new wheels. So, but I mean, new updated wheels. So we reported earlier this week on the new 19-inch sport wheels, and it's called Stiletto wheel now. But that's the updated design. So there's this 19 sport wheel with Stiletto design. It's not great. It looks a little bit cheaper than the other one.
I agree.
The spokes come flatter on the side of the rim instead of going like underneath them, so
maybe they're more
sleeker.
Efficient.
Come in?
Maybe they're more efficient.
Yeah, I would assume they are because they cover a bigger surface on the wheel. So you're probably right on that. Now you get the how do you call those? I need to, the Huber turbine wheels on the 20-inch Huber turbine wheels that you already had on the Model Y, though in 21-inch, I think, on the Model Y. Now you get them in 20-inch on the Model 3. And also you can see the design of the aerial wheels. Looks a little bit darker to me, with flatter too.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think this one might be an improvement. The 19-inch though, I'm not like, I'm glad that I got the old 19-inch. Actually, I got 20-inch of that same design now. The interior, you got that new center console that we reported on last week. I can confirm that this week, though, we were questioning about what happened with the front of it here, because now the phone charger is integrated into the center console, and as I reported, this is now a sliding door, and it's harder to reach underneath here where you would put your where you have your plugs to both plug the charger, but also use it for the for the storage device for Tesla Sentry Mode and TeslaCam
and game controllers
if you're into that. Now the solution that Tesla has is in the glove box. They added a USB port in the glove box, and that's where you connect your storage device for Sentry Mode and TeslaCam. So the advantage of that is, if you remember, just a few weeks ago, Tesla released a software update that lets you lock the glove box with a PIN number. So for some reason, I can open that. Okay, yeah. With a PIN number that lets you just like PIN to drive, but for your glove box. So now if you combine that with putting your storage device in it, you have you can secure your storage device in the glove box, which was a concern for some people back when I mean, now we go way back, but when Sentry Mode was first released, it was released after a series of break-ins that looked like they were targeting Tesla vehicles, especially in the Bay Area. So Tesla released a Sentry Mode, but then some figured that the thieves could just catch up to it and realize that if they just take the storage device in the center console, they wouldn't be filmed. Well, they would be filmed, but no one would have the footage because the footage stays on that device. So now you have that option. However, I mean, how hard it is to break into the glove box is probably, if you have,
it's not like a steel box or anything.
If you have a crowbar, you'll get into it probably fairly easy. But I mean, the glove box in the Model 3 and Model Y, it's pretty smooth. Like it's like you almost don't see that it's there. Almost like you could go incognito.
Do we know if it's a USB-C or USB-A port?
I think it's a USB A.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, going back to the rest of the refresh, the double pane windows, of course. What else? The acceleration time has been improved a little bit. The performance now version get 3.1 seconds 0 to 60, so that's good. Overall, it's a decent update, really. I have big enough so that we call it a refresh, of course.
Yeah,
sorry, Elon.
2021.
Yeah. The though I'm hearing that it might be some other things too under the hood, some improvements. So we're gonna keep looking into that, and well, again, there's an efficiency package that we need to know more about too, for sure. But other than the efficiency, other than what's bringing you a longer range, there might be other things too that we don't know about yet. So stay tuned for that. I might have other reports on that later on if I can confirm what I've been told. But yeah, that's for the Model 3. But with the update of the Model 3, the other lineup, the rest of the lineup also saw quite a few updates. The Model X got a decent range bump. The long range version got a 20 miles bump. It went from 351 miles to 371. Again, that we're told that that's the efficiency package at work here. The performance version also got a range bump. If I think I'll put it here. The performance version went from 305 miles to 341 miles, and that big increase for the performance version transferred to the Model S, that also saw a big one from 348 miles to 387 miles. That's almost 40 miles increase, and 11% increase for the performance version. And the performance version for the Model S lineup is the only one that saw a range bump. So the Tesla's longer range vehicle period is the Model S Long Range Plus, which, to be fair, got an increase in range recently. So we're thinking that Tesla might have had that efficiency package first in that Model S, tune it, and then release it to other cars. So that might be an explanation here why the entire lineup has been updated this way and not like all at once. And finally, I think I didn't talk about the Model Y. The Model Y also got a range increase, a smaller one to be fair, but still a nice little bump. The long range dual motor went from 316 to 325, so that's now the longest range that you can get on the Model Y. And the performance version just managed to get over 300 miles from 291 to 303 miles. A little bump in acceleration. No, not the Model Y. My bad, not the Model Y. But also the Model Y didn't get the other like the interior changes and everything like that. The only like until now the Model 3, Model Y were basically sharing an interior. Like there's a few differences, but for the most part were the same. But now the Model Y has the old center console still. So I would assume that the change will come to it at some point.
Yeah, they do like a TikTok update. They just like with the Model S and Model X.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Model X had the fascia in the front, and then the Model S got the fascia. So,
in terms of pricing, all those cars, they didn't see any price change except for the Model S. Model S got a little like price war going this week. Early in the week, it got a price drop of $3,000 for each model, except the Plaid. Plaid Model S didn't touch the price. But the one that they're delivering right now, they got price drop, and now the base version started at just $72,000. The performance got dropped to $92,000. But then what happened is that Lucid, apparently that's what triggered it. Lucid this week released the price and the specs for the base version of the Air. So if you remember when they unveiled it last month, they shared this chart here with all the models of all the specs except for the base version, that they only said at that point that would start below $80,000. They didn't confirm the horsepower, didn't confirm the range. Now they did this week. They confirmed that they would start at $77,400 before incentive. So after incentive, it brings the price down just under $70,000, $69,900. And the range, they kept the same range as the Air Touring version, which is much more expensive, but has 620 horsepower. So that one has 406 mile of range. So they keep the same mileage at 406, but they drop the powertrain to just a 400. Well, it's still very good, 480 horsepower. They didn't say exactly how that affects the performance, but of course, I would expect now closer to 4 seconds, 0 to 60, and don't expect to break the 11 seconds on the quarter mile and whatnot. And the car is coming in 2022, and I think late 2020, late or early. Did they say it?
I think they just said 2022. What's kind of weird is that Tesla and Elon felt threatened by a car that's going to be 2 years from now.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. So for the folks that don't know, the next day after after Lucid released that, Elon wrote, "The gauntlet has been thrown down. The prophecy will be fulfilled. Model S price changes to $69,420 tonight." And sure enough, it did change after that. That was yesterday. Well, Wednesday night it changed, and yesterday the price was officially $69,420 for people that are not 12 years old. Probably you don't catch it right away, or maybe you do. I don't know your sense of humor, but yeah, that's a sex joke and 420 a weed joke for our stoners out there, that the third richest man in the world just pulled up and put it on the front page of Tesla's website too. So there's that happening. And yeah, I mean, the fact that he said the gauntlet has been thrown and the $69,420 is actually just below, like $500 below the price of the Lucid, it makes it sound like Elon was just trying to beat the Lucid here. But just like you pointed out, he's trying to beat them right now with a car that is being delivered right now versus a car that's going to be delivered in over a year from now. So it is strange. They didn't need that really, I think. And jokes aside, of course, you can do all the jokes you want. So I don't care about that really. But it really shows like what is Tesla's price strategy here? Like what is it based on? Of course, the actual like end price is not based on like pricing philosophy at all, like pricing psychology, like trying to get people. That's pure joke. But normally, there's a strategy behind it. Like you're trying like to price yourself competitively, but also get a gross margin, everything. Throw that out the window now. Like like that doesn't apply here. And my thinking here is like Tesla, of course, the mission is always like let's sell more cars, like deliver more electric vehicles. I don't think the price on the Model S gonna increase sales that much, because this is technically this is the third price decrease on the Model S this year alone. And while they keep decreasing it, and now by over $8,000, by the way, this year, sales keep dropping super fast for the Model S. Actually, we don't even know how fast it's dropped because, of course, now this is packaging Model S, Model X sales together, but we see it in specific markets that do release the data. Model S sales are just not doing well at all. And we have to think that has something to do with the vehicle program itself beyond the pricing. I mean, the interior, a lot of people believe that it needs a refresh. I mean, in terms of specs, it's still market leader. There's no doubt about that. So there has to be something else affecting it here. And you keep dropping the price. And I'm thinking, I mean, if people want a cheaper Model S, they might as well just go with a Model 3. Like this, it's not the same car, I agree and everything, but if you're competing on the pricing, then yes, it's becoming in the discussion. But if you're trying to convince people that are buying like a Mercedes S-Class to buy an electric car instead, I just don't think that's the best strategy right now. I think make it more expensive and make it better, and you're going to get more sales.
Yeah.
So people, like, it's counterintuitive maybe a little bit for people, like, just I make electric car cheaper. That's all we get more people into them. Yes, I agree with that for lower segment, but for like a super luxury segment like Model S, that might not be the case, unfortunately. Like luxury car buyers have a completely different way of thinking than most people. Like it's another animal completely. So I don't know, but a lot of people speculated that the fact that the price is dropping like crazy right now is that Tesla is preparing for a refresh, like they did with the Model 3 now. I mean, that's not impossible for me, and I have to believe that a refresh is gonna come before the Plaid Model S, because Plaid Model S needs an update. Like what the prototype demands, like it doesn't make sense. The prototype that they're showing versus you can literally order it right now in the configurator, and it doesn't even look like the prototype. Like the air vents and everything are not the same. The front fascia is not the same. So it doesn't add up. Also the 7-seater configuration that they were talking about this week, Elon commented on it. Like he said, he said you never know about the 7-seat. While last year he said clearly a 7-seat option is coming for the Model S Plaid. So I don't know. There's a lot of mystery around the Plaid right now, even though it's officially launched. The 7-seater option. Speaking of 7-seater option for the Model Y, Elon commented this week that production is going to start next month. So that's November, for deliveries in early December. So by the end of the year, you should be able to get a 7-seater Model Y. There's been a lot of discussion if it's going to be a Model Y front facing seat or rear facing seat. Looks at this point like it's going to be like the one that they unveiled, the front facing. I think even Sandy Monroe, who's the first one who sort of got everyone on the bandwagon that it might be rear facing seat, I think he's walking that back right now. He's thinking it might be more front facing. Yeah.
Oh. I mean, if you look at it, like it certainly makes sense. Like, he's an adult. He's sitting in there pretty comfortably. But I mean, you put the
You put the cushion underneath there, like it's an actual seat, and that's a few inches more already, and
Okay.
there's not that much place. So I don't know.
Yeah, but where do you put your feet if you're an adult in that thing?
And this one here,
Right.
no, I don't think an adult can fit in there.
Right.
But also, we don't know right now how the second row seat is set up. Like maybe you can get a few more inches, like you can split them more
Right, you move it
evenly between the two. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I assume that people are going to be buying that, or people with families that they, like with kids, and they know that mostly kids are going to be using it. That would make sense, but
Right. Well, you'd think. I mean, they don't have it on the store yet, but you would think like before you could buy one, you could see what the back seat looked like, right?
you cannot choose the 7-seater option right now. It's there, but you cannot click on it.
Right.
So you technically cannot order it. So,
but theoretically, if they do enable you to order it, you would think that they would show you what it looks like.
I hope they will, but of course, it wouldn't be surprising that they don't, considering it's Tesla. But all right. Oh, this one is a weird one. Sorry. It's a tweet that Elon deleted that we caught just before he deleted. He mentioned this evasive Tesla minibus. So, well, I'm showing this image right now. It doesn't really need to be that. So earlier this week, we reported on the Las Vegas Loop project is officially, the Boring Company has officially applied to expand it beyond the convention center. Speaking of the convention center, do you know CES? It's not on this year, right? In 2021. No, okay, already called off. Okay, because the goal was to have the loop ready at the convention center for CES 2021. So now that's off, but they still aim to have the loop ready, and it's already dug in and everything. Tesla is just not Tesla, the Boring Company is putting the final touches on the stations, and sounds like they're just going to deliver a bunch of Teslas in there and have them move around. But the goal is to expand that to the rest of Las Vegas, and now the Boring Company has applied to do that. So they have. How can I open that? Oh no, it's going to be it's open in another window. I cannot show it, but there's a whole new planned route that takes you from the airport to the strip, and to the strip all the way to for people familiar with Las Vegas, north of the strip there's the Fremont Street. That's like the whole strip. Now it goes all the way up there and then back, and even around the other side of the strip to like the Palm Casino and all that. So it's a big update, and it would run also on both sides of the streets of the strip and link it to all the different casinos on the strip. So we already reported that there's several casinos that are already raised their hands saying, hey, I want in on the loop thing since the convention center. But even though like they already paid for it and everything, the convention center that is, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like at the end of the day. We know that they want to use Tesla vehicles in it. And Elon did say this week that when showed the picture of that weird-looking vehicle, he said that we simplified this a lot. It's basically just Teslas and tunnels at this point, which is way more profound than it sounds. Okay? But after that, to a follow-up tweet that asked if they ever going to do...
That's a really bad idea, by the way.
I know you've been on that wagon for a while. They follow-up tweet asking if they still plan to do a higher passenger vehicle, like a higher density passenger, like this vehicle there. Elon mentioned, we will make a dense Tesla if it matters, which kind of vague. Maybe just be better to have more tunnels, though. There is no practical limit to tunnel count. Increased traffic due to induced demand is the second dumbest theory I've ever heard after homeopathy. So he deleted that tweet right after that. So why would he delete that? Is it because of the reference of a new Tesla vehicle? Is it just a ding on induced demand, or is it a thing on homeopathy? I don't know. the thing on induced demand doesn't make that much sense to me, to be honest, because like I mean, induced demand is real. It's just what is dumb is that the concept of induced demand, I think, is more like the fact that people use it to say that it doesn't matter to increase capacity or infrastructure, which I think is dumb. I think if that's what he meant, Elon, I agree with him. Like saying that, oh, let's not do more roads. There's just going to be more people using them. Like that's the theory between and like the actual concept of this demand is just that there is pent up demand that is not realized because there's no infrastructure to see it. So some people use that to say don't add lanes to roll because to highways because it's just the induced demand is gonna make it irrelevant, which I don't think is the way to look at it. But anyway, is it because of that? Is it because homeopathy? I don't think that is. But I think it has more to do with the Tesla, the high density passenger Tesla vehicle, and that comes after someone, if you remember, a few months back when the Boring Company secured this project in the San Bernardino Valley, where they are going to do a loop there. One of the county officials of San Bernardino Valley said that Tesla is going to make an electric van that can seat up to 12 people and their luggage for that project, which is a similar project to the Las Vegas one with the loop. So that sounds like a good source because like they were working directly with the Boring Company and they say that, but at the same time, it's the only source we have on that, so it's not clear. Now Elon said that we can make it if it matters, so it doesn't sound like it's in the works really. If he says it like that, I don't know, but I thought it was still like noteworthy to say that he mentioned it again.
So even 12 people seems like not enough people per car. I mean, obviously with COVID right now, the fewer the people in the car, the better. But I'm assuming, COVID's going to end at some point, and having just a car with like just a Tesla, like, we've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could just have a rail, a train. They've been around for a long time. Tons of people get in, tons of people get out. It's all like, I don't know. It just seems crazy. Like I don't know what the advantage to having like Teslas and tunnels is. Like it doesn't make sense to me.
My understanding, like the idea of using actually Tesla vehicles that are roadworthy too, is like you could, especially in the self-driving future, like these cars are going to be self-driving within the tunnels apparently, because they have to be, since there's no wiggle room on the side, like they have to be like straight going, and they're going to be going fast too. So the only advantage I can see to have a road legal vehicle in there too is then it can get out of the tunnel and bring you to the end destination. That can be a clear advantage that you wouldn't work with a rail vehicle inside tunnels. However, is it really what they're doing right now? I don't know. It's certainly not what the Las Vegas Convention Center is paid for. Like that, it's a closed circle. It just goes in it. So I've been asking Elon since they unveiled it. When we went in it back in when did we go in the test tunnel in LA? That was in 2018.
Yeah, like early 2018 feels like.
Yeah, so we went there, and I asked Elon there. Oh no, was it even before that? Because wasn't with you then? Because I went one time with you, and I went one time without you to that tunnel. I think it was the time before that without you, and that was in 2017, maybe. Yeah, boy, it was a while ago. And I asked, just release a simulation of the system, a full system working, so we understand the value of it. And Elon back then said, I have that, I'm going to release that. Never did. So I think that would go a long way to help people understand the value if there's one beyond, of course. I mean, obviously there's value to moving people in tunnels where there's no traffic and everything, but the difference between a rail system and an individual car. All right, should we jump in on the Electrify America sponsored?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. This episode of the Electrek Podcast is brought to you by Electrify America. EA is the nation's largest coast-to-coast electric vehicle charging network, with stations every 70 miles on average along major highway routes and full of ultra-fast 350 kilowatt chargers for capable electric vehicles. They are dedicated to providing electric vehicle drivers with the speed, security, and freedom they deserve. Like freedom from range anxiety, freedom from boredom as they wait too long for a charge, and of course, the freedom of the open road. Even if that open road is just one nearby. They believe in the electric future just like you. If you're an electric vehicle driver or just wondering what it's like to be one, find out what they're up to at electrifyamerica.com. That's electrifyamerica.com. Electrify America. Hello, freedom.
Yes, thanks, Electrify America. Electrify America. Electrify Canada too is pretty cool. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section right now. We're gonna get to them, and if there are a few other news item in a few minutes. The full self-driving beta, which is actually what we are referring to now, to the autopilot core rewrite that we've been reporting on for months. That's coming at the end of the year. Elon put an actual release date for what he called a limited beta release. And what that is, it sounds like it's not actually the EAP, the Early Access Program. It's like a limited number of people within the Early Access Program, which is, of course, a much broader program now with thousands of people in it. He said it's coming on, when is it coming? Tuesday next week. So just a few days. The first Tesla customer is going to have access to, again, they're calling it now the FSD beta. So if they are calling FSD beta, not just the autopilot rewrite anymore, I would assume that it has more features than just higher performance with the core rewrite. And if it's an FSD beta, I would assume that this feature is primarily that the Navigate on Autopilot system now can handle turning at an intersection. That's like the big thing missing right now. If you had turning into an intersection to navigate on autopilot on top of the traffic and stop sign control, you technically have this feature complete thing that Elon has been talking about. Like, all the pieces of the puzzles are there. They just need to get good enough for you not to have to monitor it. And we're nowhere near there. So big asterisk here. Nowhere near that. But the feature complete is closed, looks like. So I think that's big news. Of course, when Tesla releases a big new feature like that, there can be a lot of time between those like early release to the EAP to an actual broader release here. So Elon said probably December for a broader release. Like, this might be optimistic at this point. Wouldn't be the first time Elon's optimistic about autopilot timeline, but
right,
this one is a big one. Like, this one is the one you have to be very careful with, because it's not like driving on the highway now. If you're handling an intersection, that's but you even mentioned that this limited beta here would be for a small number of people who are expert and careful drivers.
Right. So it's a good transition. I was just going to ask you, like, how do we know, or how does Tesla know who is careful and safe drivers? I
think it's people already in the early access program that they know have been performing very well, since they are in contact with those people. They give Tesla feedback and everything, so they should probably know who's better than others, that based on their feedback and everything, I would assume.
Like, you think like autopilot take over things, or like how many G's acceleration they do, or how, turns, or
that might be part of it. I'm sure that in the EAP there's a wider range of data being collected, so they probably have that, I would assume.
And what percentage of EAP, like you said, there's like 1,000 people or thousands of people?
I think there are thousands at this point, because also there are people not just in the US. I think this update is going to be first released in the US, of course, but Tesla also has to test it in other markets where the signs are different, the road is different, and everything. So at this point, I think there are several thousands of people in the program.
Yeah, we should try to get into that.
I mean, you remember if you bought full self-driving, you're supposed to be in the early access
Right.
program already. Of course, that never happened, but instead they replace it with get the software update early and whatnot, which is not the same at all. But that's Tesla. All right, this is a new exclusive that released this morning. Tesla canceled their no question ask 7-day return policy. So that's something that Tesla and Elon in particular have been using a lot as like a marketing tool lately, and a show of confidence that, hey, buy the car. There's no risk because we're gonna issue a full refund if you return it within 7 days. So you've heard Elon say that a lot over the last year. It was an official policy. There was a few caveats, of course, but for the most part, if there was no damage to the car and it had less than 1,000 miles, you could return it for a full refund, other than the $100 deposit that was later changed to a non-refundable. But now, a few sources familiar with the matter told us that Tesla officially discontinued the program last night with all the updates that came out on the Model 3 and everything. At the same time, the discontinued the program, and it wasn't been replaced with anything. I mean, there's still, of course, recourses if the car is not up to standard. But for the most part, you should, like, before Tesla, I feel like was using the program a little bit more to facilitate deliveries. Like if there's things you didn't like at the delivery, they'd be like, hey, you have a 7-day return policy. Like, we're going to fix them later and everything. And if you really don't like it, then we return it in a few days. And that would help Tesla just get the cars out at delivery. Because, of course, when you take delivery, you should always take a good look at the car inside out. And if there's things you don't like, you should refuse delivery and have Tesla fix those things before you take delivery. Because after you take delivery, it's going to be harder for you to have them fixed. Guarantee it. But now that's basically what's happening with that 7-day policy being discontinued. Now, if someone is not happy within the first week of taking delivery, instead of just having to deal with your sales team, you talk to your advisor and say you return the car. Now you're going to be referred to the service, and service will try to just fix your issues instead of just no question ask, return the car. So big change in policy for Tesla. Of course, we would like to have Tesla's reasoning behind that, but there's no one to ask except for Elon on Twitter, and he's not doing that right now, especially not to us, since we're a bunch of meanies.
All right, so there's now a zero. Like, if you take the car, once you drive it off the lot, it's yours. Like, there's no going back.
Yeah. I mean, there's no going back. If something breaks, of course, and everything, like, Tesla is responsible. But
right,
like Elon, the way he was selling it before, it was like, if you don't like it, if you're just like, it's not for me, you can return it. No,
right.
that's not the case anymore.
Do you think a lot of people were taking advantage of it?
I mean, that's a possibility, but they did change a few things in the programs to make it like for example, you cannot reorder a car like right away. Not the same car, at least. You have to wait a year to reorder the same car after you return it, because like they don't want just people like keep like just ordering cars all the time.
But I imagine there were some people who were like, hey, let's get a Tesla for a week.
Yeah, basically.
And they were just like, it's $100, right? Like,
well, now then they later also changed the $100 to be non-refundable, so that would cost you $100 at this point. But as you know,
1,000 miles with the Tesla that's a pretty good deal.
A lot cheaper than a Turo or something.
Right.
Yeah. All right, this is another interesting news here from GM Cruise. They officially got the approval to operate their Chevable TV autonomous vehicles without a driver at all. So it's a true driverless system. So if you remember, Cruise is GM's autonomous division, and they are mainly operating in San Francisco. And they had this fleet of Chevable TV they were using to test the vehicles, but they always had an engineer on board as a safety driver. If something were to happen, they could take over and everything. But now, just like Waymo last week, I got the approval to operate in Phoenix. Now the California DMV gave them approval to operate in San Francisco, which the way they presented it, they said it's the first time that they can do it in a major U.S. city. So apparently,
Phoenix.
Phoenix is not a major U.S. city. But to be fair, the big difference is the complexity of the city. Probably, like I think most people would agree that San Francisco's streets are harder to navigate than in Phoenix. And
Yeah, it seems kind of crazy to start in San Francisco. Like I have a hard time driving there.
Yeah, it's not an easy city. Yeah, I mean, like the idea, I suppose, if you can do it there, then you can do it anywhere, I assume.
Right.
I mean, do it anywhere. I'm sure there's other, like, I've driven the car in Barcelona, for example, and I'll take San Francisco any day other than Barcelona over Barcelona. But not everywhere, but still, it's another company moving the right way, and of course, everyone like is now is putting Tesla against Waymo, against Cruise, see who's going to deliver the service first. But of course, the idea behind Tesla is like the autopilot system, that the full self-driving system they want to deploy would automatically like work virtually everywhere, aside from the difference between the road systems and the signs in different countries. But they want it to be able to, you throw anything at it and it's going to be able to handle it, other than the Waymo that needs to map things. I don't think Cruise needs to map things though, the same way that Waymo does. But it does depend.
If it's based on the same Cruise thing in the Cadillac, the CT6.
I don't think it's completely based on the same. I think the Super Cruise does use some of the things from the Cruise, GM Cruise, but I don't think it's the same concept. Because you're right, though, the Super Cruise does need mapping for sure.
Yeah, that did need map.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any questions we can jump to?
Yeah. So let's go. So heat pump confirmed. I don't know if we mentioned heat pump on the
Model 3. Yeah. Confirmed on Model 3. Apparently, maybe not on the Standard Range Plus, though. I'm trying to confirm that, but a lot of people are saying that it's not in the Standard Range Plus, but I cannot confirm it right now. But it is in the long range and performance for sure. And it's not in the Model S and X. They didn't bring it to Model S and X.
Another good question. I wonder if the same wheels are under the new wheel covers on the Model 3. So, like,
Bertie, it's a little bit different too. I did see a picture.
Oh, yeah, really?
But it's extremely similar though.
Could you get so if you had a Model 3 from last year, could you get the new hubcaps, just the Aero hubcaps?
That I don't know. I cannot confirm that.
Yeah. Will we really have FSD next week? Maybe if you're in the beta group.
I mean, if he said Tuesday, it's probably coming on Tuesday. But again, just for a select few.
How long before the Model Y interior catches up with the 3?
Excellent question. But I mean, we couldn't even tell when the Model 3 was coming on, even after they were coming off the lines.
Right.
Tesla is very hard to follow on that.
Yeah, so we'll know as soon as one gets delivered. And
also, I mean, I don't know, in the comment section could chime in on that, and I want to take your take on it too. But I was surprised that the Model 3 interior refresh wasn't that appreciated by electric readers. Like, a lot of people didn't like it that much. Like, they preferred the old one. I like the new one a lot more.
Are you talking about the center console?
Center console, but I mean, most people agree that the piano black had to go. So, right. But I assume the idea is that with the old one, that was sort of an easy fix. You just put a wrap on it, and that's it. But while they went with a matte finish on the new one, they don't like the actual like form factor, I guess, of the center console. I don't know. Yeah, the wheel is also different too. The wheel has now metallic finish, and all the trims that were piano black, like on the doors too, and everything, that also has a matte finish too now. So I think those are all great improvements.
Yeah, I didn't like the piano finish. It'll be interesting to see if Jetta and Taptis and all the other companies that make those hubs will be able to make a hub for the new Model 3.
I don't think you can.
I mean, you could just put a wire in there and make a hub that way, but
yeah, but then that's just some like any cheap like $10 hub that you can buy,
right.
And not a form factor like the Jetta had that you can just that fits into the car nicely.
All right, Model 3 refresh. Is the heated steering wheel confirmed? If so, maybe they will deactivate that on the standard range model.
What will they deactivate?
Maybe the standard range won't get the heated steering wheel if the regular Model 3 gets it.
The
long range.
I don't know, I've been told that it is, but it's not activated yet. So I don't know if that's what they mean, but
yeah, I don't know.
Just like the back seat.
Yeah, and maybe they'll do a BMW where you can buy it later or something.
That might be the case, yeah.
If you like, if they'll probably like put a thing on your screen like in the middle of winter when it's like negative 30 degrees. Hey, would you like a warm steering wheel right now?
Yes.
Put in your
$400. Yeah.
Yeah, just go like this. All right. Michael Bergmark says if you order a Europe 3 now or since a few weeks back, you will get the recent refreshes. Yeah, I think that's.
I think they started shipping internationally before the US. Yeah.
A friend of his in Sweden had that. Price dropped on Model 3 in Norway, according to Bjorn Island.
Yeah, apparently a few international market got price drops on the Model 3 with the update today.
All right, let's get some more here. The Model Y roof flying off. I think we already saw that.
Yeah, we reported that a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Heat pump not fully confirmed, but the recent changes to the frunk size and the range pump, we've confirmed it.
Yeah, we the sources we can confirm that Tesla's communicated to the salespeople that the heat pump is now on the Model 3.
So, in the context of the current price cuts and feature improvements for the S, X, and 3, what are your thoughts on BMW, Daimler, and perhaps other ICE manufacturers 2020 to 2025? The half decade of reckoning. I mean, like I have to say, as an electric car buyer, or as a car buyer, like there's no way that any of those companies are going to have a 350-mile car for $40,000 or whatever. So, like, as far as range, as far as charging network, as far as connected in autopilot, like I don't think anybody's going to catch Tesla. But there's a lot of things that Tesla doesn't do great, like fit and finish, interior styling. The suspension is good, but I think some companies might do it a little bit better. So it's not over, but if Tesla can knock out the fit and finish thing, knock out a nicer interior, then I think they're going to be even more dominant than they are now. What do you think about that?
I think you're right. I mean, if Tesla does improve on those things, then yeah, I think then the legacy automakers are in real trouble. But I think that they still have a chance to catch up. I think they didn't mention Volkswagen there. I think Volkswagen is definitely in a better position than BMW and Daimler, but I don't know. We'll have to see. We haven't really got our hands on the next gen of those companies. Like BMW i3, iX3 is not the best example, but let's see how they do with the BMW iNext. What Daimler does with like the Mercedes S-Class, the EQS. All those cars, like the next generation that it's coming, let's see how those does, and if they do well, by doing well, I mean I want to test it out and see like how they are. We haven't got our butts in them yet, but when they do, and if those cars are good, then they're still in the game.
Right.
If they're not, and they have to wait for another generation to be competitive with Tesla, then yeah, I agree. It's done. It's over. And also Tesla also has time to improve because again, our butts are not in those cars. So if Tesla improves by then and then fix, especially like the issues that you mentioned in terms of quality, then yeah, it's gonna be a tough time to compete.
Yeah, and I also think Herbert Diess, or however you pronounce his name, Diess, at VW is the only one that is really sounding the alarm in any kind of like real way. Like, for instance, I don't want to call out GM because they do have some pretty good stuff. But we were on a call today with them about their new factory, and they don't at all seem like rushed. They just, we're going to be ready in 2 years, and we're going to have this, thing with the specs of Tesla maybe a few years ago. And to me, it's like, you guys are, you're going to get your whole market is just going to disappear. Like, it doesn't make sense to me why they're not freaking out. So it reminds me of when Nokia was like, hey, this iPhone might be some trouble for us. And by the time they were like, okay, we're in trouble, it was over.
Yeah.
And that kind of feels like the same thing going on in the car market right now. All right. Orion Wu says 2020-47 is showing the efficiency update for existing Model Ys now.
Yeah, I just got a few emails on that. Model Y and Model X too. Apparently, the existing one that already been delivered are getting a little efficiency upgrade.
Trying to figure out where I'm on now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on 2020-43, so I don't get that yet. All right. I mean, it's not coincidence that the new GigaCast is up around the same time as 3-row Y. I don't know what that means.
Maybe he's saying that the single piece rear casting now might have an effect on the third row. I don't know.
Right. So sorry about that. That was came from a previous question. Can they extend the Model Y legroom with the new rear casting?
Yeah.
So
I don't know, because the form, like,
I mean, that's wheel wells that you're talking about.
No.
Yeah. All right. Teslas and tunnels. Looks like you have a title for today's show. Sounds good. Don't know what that's for. Who will stay in business, Lucid or Tesla? Well,
I mean, there's no doubt that Tesla was still in business at this point. Lucid just needs to deliver. I'm sure they have a nice little order book right now for the Hair, and if they can bring it to production and have a decent gross margin on it, they're going to be in business.
Do you guys know anyone who is in the FSD early access program? Can you tell them to upload a video of it on YouTube? So they're not supposed to tell anybody about it. And
we have people in the early access program, but the FSD thing, I think it's going to be just a few people in the program, and they're only going to know on Tuesday, so we don't know. And they're probably going to be NDA involved and whatnot.
Kind of a random question. Do you guys know if there are any laws in the USA about solar recycling? I have been reading solar waste in the USA is becoming a massive problem. It's not a massive problem.
Yeah, I mean, the panels are still good.
20, 25 years, 30 years.
I'm sure they can be recycled.
Model S price for taxi companies. That's true. The price, as it keeps coming down, may make more sense for fleets. Taxi companies, also police cars. Might be a good...
that's a good point.
If I was a cop, I'd be okay with... Although you are in the price of the cop car you're buying, you're saying 420, which, hey, whatever. Anyway,
in California, it'd be fine.
Right. Sal Hoffman. So, is the range bump via update or from new batteries installed on the Model Y?
No, new batteries doesn't sound like it, but it's called an efficiency package in the system. So it mostly software sounds like. We cannot confirm if there's any hardware attached to it. But at the same time, it doesn't look like it applies to all Model Y. Like the other commenter just said, some of them are getting the update, but it doesn't. We don't know yet just how far back it goes. So it does sound like there was some hardware update needed at one point.
Yeah, so we'll have to find out from readers and stuff.
It's so hard to pinpoint nowadays. Like, just Tesla doesn't tell you anything, and so you have to just do a ton of investigative work just to try to have an idea of when the change actually happened.
So Bruce Miller says, any update on the long-range Model Y rear-wheel drive? No.
I think there's a lot more people waiting for it, though, than the 7-seater, though.
Yeah, for sure. Especially the price is right. You guys should use YouTube Premiere feature on live podcasts. All right.
Do you even know what that is?
It is, but so we use a third-party thing called StreamYard.
Uh,
Doesn't let us do it. I think maybe if I go into YouTube afterwards, I could do that, but COVID-19 won't allow buses soon, right? Have to get by special permit and special mask for commuter times if you can't work from home. There's still buses going around. People are spacing out and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Have you guys talked or speculated at what the new model will be? The one teased at the battery day. Sorry if you've already talked about that. We haven't. In terms of, the $25,000 one, I think you're referring to.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to call it. I don't know what. All I know is it's probably going to have a smaller battery, and hopefully, I would like, honestly, if they could make it like the Chevy Bolt, but have Tesla stuff inside, that would be kind of the perfect form factor for me.
Yeah, like a small crossover, like, or a hatchback type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
All right.
You know what I want?
What?
I want like Honda CR-V electric.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
All right. Next one. I guess the competition is not freaking out yet since Tesla is still production constrained. They feel there's still time. Yep. But
yeah, if you want to know who's serious about EVs and legacy, look who's serious about deploying new production capacity for EVs. Volkswagen is the one that's doing it all the time. Like just this week, we reported on them. Like they literally like cheer, like send the like stop the press with just about robots to make electric cars. Like it's always about the production capacity they're investing in. So that's when you see that, that's the good thing.
Yeah, and I guess you could say GM today had a big announcement about their Zero facility. So GM, I would put behind Volkswagen, but they're certainly ahead of FCA or Ford's got the Mustang, but so. Anyway.
Yeah, Ford has the Mustang, and I mean Ford is the F-150, like they're linked together, and the fact that Ford is investing into electrifying the Ford F-150 makes them serious about EV. The way I see it, GM is like, I mean, they did announce that they're doing the Silverado, right? Like a Silverado electric type of deal, because the Hummer, I don't see the Hummer being like a high volume vehicle, really.
No, it's going to be super expensive too. Yeah. I think it's going to be six figures.
Oh yeah, I'm hoping for like 80,000 base version, but it's so big that I doubt it.
P2P asks, will there ever be one type of plug J1772 standard across North America? I mean,
kind of is aside for Tesla, like this.
For level 2, that is the standard J1772. I mean, a Nissan Leaf, Tesla with an adapter, and basically every other car can use a 1772. That's level 2. Level 3 is where it gets a little bit more complicated. Because
but CCS is basically one of this one. Like
China, it has, but the CCS, I still, it's frustrating because the CCS combo thing is huge, and especially if you're a smaller person, it's kind of heavy to put it and shove it in your car. It's like it's not easy like a gas thing is. Whereas Tesla has a very, a small, elegant connector. So at one point, I'm kind of like, I wonder if it would be worth it for the whole country to go Tesla route. But I don't know if Tesla's up for giving up their technology lead there.
Because my understanding was always Tesla, why they especially went with their own design, is because they just didn't want to pay the license fee for the other ones too.
I think that's a big part of it, but I think they were also really slow in getting their specs together. I mean, they're just getting the plug and charge spec together. Tesla's had plug and charge for 8 years now.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
Auto trunk open close on the new 3. Yes, that was one of the new things.
Oh yeah, we didn't say. Yeah, we reported that last week. Yeah.
Rumors are Tesla planning a self-charging wheels car. I think that might be a bot or something. What that means. Bert Lithrow says the feedback about the good drivers might come from the internal camera. The software at least has different states for eye position.
Yeah, you did mention that to me today. Like you were thinking that might be the case. I don't know. Like officially, all the cabin-facing camera information is not linked to the driver, to the owner of the car. So unless they change that just for the EAP program, maybe.
Yeah, maybe there's a waiver you're signing for
Yeah.
the EAP.
So it's not impossible, but we don't know about that.
What new passenger EV for Boring Company in Vegas?
So that's the tweet that Elon deleted. We don't know
Right.
if it's gonna be a thing, but maybe.
When do you think Tesla Robotaxi will happen? I would say 2 or 3 years.
I believe next year in some markets, but
Right.
even though Elon poo-pooed Waymo this week, we're like, it only works in Phoenix. I think it's gonna be like that for Tesla anyway, because at least from a regulatory standpoint, it's only gonna be approved in some places at first. So even if your system technically could work everywhere, I think they're gonna end up tuning it to work where they are gonna be allowed to.
All right. What's your opinion about the Dacia Spring? That's a low-cost EV over there in Europe.
It's nice enough, but it's a city car for sure. It's not a highway car. It's not
Right.
a long distance driving car. So if that match your lifestyle, and you're in a European city, and yes, I would, especially if you're in a European city that has decent incentive, because the car can basically be free for you. It's pretty cheap. I think it's like 10,000 euros or something, or maybe 15 in some markets. I don't know, but yeah. I do like the hatchback that Renault unveiled this week too. That was a sleek looking one.
Yeah, the Megane or whatever. The new
Megane
E.
E-Vision Megane. But that's a concept. But apparently, the production version of it is going to come out next year. So if it stays close looking to that, I mean, and the Megane, the gasoline version of it is already good looking. So.
All right, the last question. Ford has no battery tech, or do they?
The Ford is actually the problem. One of the problem with them is, I think, is battery. They don't look like they're too worried about that. I mean, I know that an executive said recently that they don't see any advantage having like a joint venture with the supplier or doing them themselves like Tesla's doing it. Which them saying that is like, hey, then you're confident a lot in your suppliers, because you're going to be extremely dependent on them. Like, I think GM was smart to do that joint venture with LG, even though LG is in like in hot water this week now with the Hyundai recall for the Kona, like Hyundai and LG
Bolt, and the Chevy Bolt,
and the Bolt is now under investigation by NHTSA about possible fire risk, and LG wasn't mentioned in that, but of course LG is the battery supplier for the Bolt too. So,
all right, that's it.
Yeah. All right, thanks a lot for listening this week. If you're listening on YouTube, you can give us a thumbs up. That'll always help if you like the show. If you don't, of course, don't do it, or give us a thumbs down, like if that's what you really want. But if you want to stay tuned for the next show, you can give us a subscribe and hit the notification button to know when we go live. And on your podcast app, you can always give us a review. That's also helps us a lot. And subscribe there too to download the next episode when it comes out. And we're going to see you same place, same time next week.